I'm so excited that we started something new this week in our lesson. Page 20 introduces for the first time eighth notes. Now, when we first learned how to play our instrument, the only type of note that we played with was a quarter note. And when you were a little younger in music class, you would call that a ta, and ta, or quarter note, equals 1. We have a new kind of note, eighth note. Eighth note, when you were a little younger in music class, you would call them TTs. Their official name is eighth note, and the eighth note gets only a half of a beat. It is half the size of a quarter note. So generally, you'll see two of them grouped together, and a half plus a half equals 1. And so you can fit two eighth notes, or TTs, inside of a quarter note, or ta. How do you count eighth notes, though, right? So when we're playing quarter notes, we've been changing our bow on the number or plucking on the number, such as this: 1 and 2, and every time I count a number, that's when you pluck or bow. 1 and 2 and. Now for eighth notes, because they're smaller, you can fit twice as many in. You're going to move your bow not only on the number, but you're going to move it on the and. So you're going to use smaller bows. You're going to use faster bows. Let me give you an example of a measure full of eighth notes. They would be counted like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And as you mentioned in the lesson that we had, you noticed right away that you're not using a whole lot of bow, such as a quarter note. Quarter note is a full bow. And you noticed that I was kind of hanging out at the bottom of the bow. So what I think to myself when I have eighth notes that start at the frog, I think frog, 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 frog. And then if I have any quarter notes, I'll say to myself, full bow, full bow. So let's take a look at your very first song on page 20. It's called Rhythm Rap. And you will notice that there is no music staff. It's just one thin line across. So what we're going to do here is we're going to play the rhythm rap on any open string of your choice. The directions say to shadow bow, but I think we should upgrade that and play it on any open string. Literally, any string you want. Just pick a different one every day, even the ones we haven't officially learned yet. Now, let's get started. The Rhythm Rap 66 is played on open, your choice, and it sounds like this. So I'm going to count out loud, and then I'm going to play it again, and we'll talk about the bowing. So I'm going to put my hand here in the upper bout. I'm going to stick with open A, and I'm going to count myself in. Feel free to play along or just listen for the first time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now let's do it again, and let's talk about the bow distribution. Distribution is a fancy word for bow usage. How much bow are you using? Are you using a lot or a little? And where in the bow are you using it? So for instance, I said frog before. That means I'm kind of hanging out at the bottom of the bow. So I'm going to go ahead and say the bow distribution and play the same song. I'm going to stick with open A. Feel free to join me or just watch for the first time. Ready, and go, and. Frog, 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 full bow, full bow. Frog, 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 full bow, full bow. Frog, 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 full bow, full bow. Last measure: frog, 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 full bow, rest. So hopefully that gives you a reminder on how to count the eighth notes that we learned in the lesson, and B, how to bow them. What part of the bow should you be in? How much bow should you use? We're going to take what we know now about 66 and we're going to plug it into 67. If you were to compare 67 to 66 rhythmically, like you're counting, they're identical. They have the same counting. They have the eighth notes in the same places and the quarter notes in the same places in every measure. Even the rest at the end matches. What's not the same is the music staff is back and you have to use fingered notes rather than just open. So let's take a look at these fingered notes real quickly. Pepperoni pizza, number 67. It starts with high D. You have 4 of those in a row as eighth notes. When it changes to a C sharp. So you have high D, C sharp. Moving on, then you have B, then you have A. This sounds familiar. Then you have G, F sharp, E, and you finish with open D. Well, we know that. That is down the D scale, but with a rhythm we've never played before. So we take the rhythm that we learned in 66 and we apply it to our D major scale, which is pepperoni pizza. Now, they chose this title, pepperoni pizza, for the syllables in the title. So if you were to say pepperoni pizza with the rhythm in mind, it matches the rhythm. Pepperoni pizza. So it matches rhythmically. Let's go ahead and get started. Count with me. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 that concludes our video on 66 and 67. I wish you the best of luck and I will see you for your next lesson.